Father, I thank you for the lives and the hearts of each individual that sits upon this board. I thank you for those that have come to this meeting. Father, we care about this library. We care about this community. So I pray that, Father, in the name of Jesus, you would bring your wisdom to bear, and that, Father, we would have the right things done. I just pray that you would give this board wisdom and discernment as what's to be done. And Father, your blessing would be upon them. We thank you for this Thanksgiving season, that we'd have much to be thankful for. So we just bless you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Watch it, don't touch.
Can everybody hear me?
Just drink it.
All right, this is the Campbell County Public Library, and it's November 21st, and this is the board meeting.
No.
Let's start with the consent agenda, and then we have the minutes. Is there anything any amendments to the minutes? That's good. All right, can we get a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve. You want to do all the items or one at a time?
Can we do them all at once? Is there, yeah, sure.
I move to approve the items of the consent.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, unfinished business, library flooding enclosure.
Just a quick report. So the damaged sheetrock has been replaced. Existing carpet and tile have been removed from the basement except the teen area, which reopened Wednesday, November 9th. It will close again when it's time to replace the carpet. I did have two guys that go in today looking at everything, so hopefully we'll start to install carpet before the end of the year. We have asked that during Christmas break, there may not be carpeting in the teen room. They're able to work around that, so that'll be good. The exterior lighting has been restored to the staff parking lot, and the driveway and sidewalk have been replaced. Myself, Larissa, and Crystal, who is the county's insurance contact, inspected the damaged items and finalized the list for the insurance company. Facilities maintenance repaired tracking and flooring of the compressed shelving area and assisted in removing some of the damaged items. Cleanup and work to remove damaged items continues, but we're getting into a really good place. It's starting to look a lot better except for a couple of rooms. Again, I would commend the county facilities maintenance. They have really done a nice job helping us.
Well, that's good that things are moving forward nicely. I'm glad to hear that. Chelsea, would you like to give us an update on the special committee?
Yes, I would. Our special committee met on November 11th via Zoom, and we just set the scope for what the intentions are for our committee, and we're going to give our recommendations when we've decided what those will be. Our next meeting will be in January.
And just to be clear, this special committee is about what?
Oh, about the content considerations. Books, yes, ratings.
Next, I'd like to talk about the child policy. We tabled some of that last time, so if we could review that. So I thought it was a good idea for us to have a public child policy to put on the website, so adults know what's expected of them when they come to the library and of kids. And since we didn't have a policy, I just pulled one from another library, and Darcy kindly looked at what was in the what Terry gave us. We're in a bad spot.
I think that was the Algal.
I'm under a speaker, so maybe it is.
Anyway, so Terry gave her stuff that was in managers' guidelines, and so it's just as a public policy, so there's, so everybody knows what the rules are. And she kind of melded those, and there was just some discrepancies from the random one that I picked, and what Terry did, and we're just working out the differences. So we worked out the age differences on the teen rooms, and now I need to talk about the children's. Does anybody have any comments about the one I picked? They said they needed to be 11 years or older, or 12 years or older, and the old policy said 4th grade. Now, what age is this 4th grade?
9, 10, yeah. You know, may I just mention something? I did some research at Parks and Rec, since they have so many kids. And they have pretty stringent rules around weight equipment and cardio equipment, things like that. But they also have some rules for kid-friendly spaces that I thought were interesting. Youth under 8 are required to go to the kids zone unless they are under constant supervision by someone 12 years of age or older. So they're allowing younger ages to supervise even younger ages, which often happens when siblings babysit. Youth under 8 are not to be in the common areas of the lobby, gymnasium, concession area unattended. And then for the swimming pool, children under the age of 5 must be accompanied in the water by an adult at all times. Children between the ages of 5 and 7 years old must have an adult on the pool deck at all times. And so there are no other restrictions. So the implication is that children 8 and above do not require adult supervision in the pool area. So I thought that was interesting. I know they have lifeguards supervising, that's probably why, but I wanted to share that. I also contacted DFS, and there is actually no state law or requirement that children under 12 cannot be left home alone. I do think our building is supervised with adults. It's not the same as actually being completely home alone. But I did check that because I wanted to make sure that we weren't violating any laws.
I done some, I called the rec center as well, and I talked to a lawyer about the liability that the library would have if these kids were unattended. I came up with the same conclusions as you. So that did reassure me. So I would propose that we would go with the old policy of 4th grade. But I don't know how other board members feel.
So in essence, there would be no change to the ages of kids who can come to the library after school?
Right.
Works for me.
And the only,
I'm sorry, we are close to
Terry, did you check and see on that one thing that I asked you to, where like on behavior in one sheet with the adults? Or did you check that?
Yes, I did check that.
Okay.
So we have an appropriate behavior policy that's separate from all of our children's policies. I do feel like we need to better define children here because it does state that do not leave children unattended. And so I think that we need to go back in that policy and make it consistent with our other policies.
That's where I think, yeah.
Yeah, I did check that.
so where is it inconsistent? Didn't track that.
But there isn't an age defining children.
Oh, okay.
So if we're allowing 4th graders in, then we'd probably want to say children 3rd grade and younger must be
That's in
attended.
How do we go about doing that? Do we need to make a motion to create a policy, or what would you prefer?
We have a behavior policy, so I would just bring it in front of the board and we could work on it. We probably, it's a good time to do a policy review with all the things we're working on. So it would just be at maybe the December meeting, for example.
Okay.
Do some housekeeping that way.
But this would be a separate policy from the behavior policy?
Yeah, there's a list of things. It really helps us have that policy, board approved policy, when we have behavior problems and we have to exit people and things like that. So it just gives us a little authority to do that.
And it's for all ages, not just kids.
Great. So, do I have a motion for this child policy, so it can be on the website and just public knowledge of what our policies are?
I don't want to turn this off because Brian does, but I move to put the child policy on this website. Or,
There is a draft of it.
There's a draft of it.
Yes.
so I move to make it not a draft, to
How about approve
formalize
the
it,
child policy?
approve the child policy.
Yeah, if you approve
As
it-
amended to follow the current guidelines.
Yes,
Right.
okay.
So just to be clear, so we're making no changes at all
Right, we're
in
not,
the ages of kids who can be here
Right.
unsupervised.
Right.
correct.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Library credit cards?
I did research that. It's not going to be in conflict with what we did when we had our annual meeting and approved our bank. So I'm going to proceed with switching over credit cards to kind of create some efficiencies for the county, handling credit cards all through one agency, if that's okay with everybody.
Do we need to make a motion to approve the credit cards or anything?
No, I don't. If we weren't able to do it, I didn't know if it was related to that.
Designation.
Okay. So, no, we don't need to do it.
No.
This is to follow up.
Okay. So it looks like December, we could have a joint meeting with the commissioners.
Correct.
Are they wanting to have a meeting with us? Do you know?
Right, here's someone in the audience who might know.
So we do have,
We have a commissioner.
We have a commissioner, so typically what we've done is,
we've been asked not to just have a meeting for meeting's sake, to actually have business to discuss. So if we have business to discuss, we want to invite them. If they have business they want to discuss, they would also let us know, so.
So we have business discussed with them, is what you're saying?
Yes, it's an optional meeting. It's a communications, it's a chance to have a communication with the county commissioners if we need it, if we have projects going on.
I don't have anything I need to discuss with the commissioners, do you?
Well, Madam Chairman, it might be a good idea to schedule a meeting with the commissioners after the first of the year when the new board is seated.
Oh, that's a, yeah.
Okay. This comes up every 3 months, so we maybe when the next time comes around. Yeah. So. All right, so I think we just have our normal meeting in December.
okay.
All right, do you want to go over the library holiday hours and other closures?
Sure, this is an annual calendar. This will need a motion from the board to approve. These are the days we're closed. A lot of it follows the officially approved holidays of the county commissioners. However, we do stay open the day after Thanksgiving, so we use a floating holiday instead. And then we have some times where we bump up against a holiday where we may have an unpaid closure. So those days are included. For example, we close the entire Memorial Day weekend, but there's just one holiday pay for that.
Does anybody have any problems with the dates here or anything that needs to be changed? Do we have a motion to approve the calendar?
Make a motion to approve the calendar as proposed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, there has been some discussion about changing the board meeting times. Some of the parents and stuff would like to start coming to meetings to make it a little bit later. So what time would you, as board members, be able to meet? What's the latest time somebody would want to meet?
5:30 would be, I mean, is that a good time for you guys?
Yeah.
It's more important for you guys than it is me.
Oh,
Yeah, I've got flexibility. I wouldn't want to meet at 9.
No,
I'm an old guy.
yeah.
But 6, 5:30, whatever.
I would say
would work.
5:30.
I would say 5:30 or 6. I just have to find childcare.
I have a question. I know it's not like rolled, but I do have a question if that's okay with that. How long will it be? So if you guys start at 6, will you be done at 9?
So that's another part of this. So if we do move it later, I would like to restrict how long we meet. And then whatever, we'll do our business, this is my proposal. We'll do our business with, let's say we meet for 2 hours. You guys can change that, I'm just the way I see it is meet for 2 hours. And then once we get done with business, we'll divide up the public comment time and divide that by how many people sign up and hear them until, you know, if there's 20 people sign up and there's only 20 minutes left, they only get 1 minute. And, or positives and negatives of that.
For the 2-hour time?
For the 2 hour, yeah, to only meet for 2 hours. The other option would be to, you know, let everybody have 3 minutes and then who doesn't get to speak gets priority in the next meeting. That would be another solution. What do you all think?
Madam Chairman, what procedure do the commissioners use now?
I think you divide up the time, don't you?
Depending on the length of the meeting, or, you know, how long the agenda is.
Yeah. When they have a lot of
I don't
people.
think they limit the total time for the meetings. Or do they?
They have in the past. I don't know what they're currently doing.
Right. Our agenda's listed by minutes, and we usually stick pretty tight to that. And then, you know, based on public comments, I'll bring it up to the chairman, number of people, and at that time we'll determine whether they get 3 full minutes. We reduced it to 2 minutes at one time, but we hear everybody.
Well, let's start with the meeting time. So 5:30, I mean, my business closes at 6, if we met at 6, that would be better for me, but I can do 5:30. And then I would propose only go to 2 hours. Anybody else have any other comments? Suggestions? How about the library, Terry?
We'll accommodate whatever you want to do. I think it'll be fine.
It doesn't mess with anybody's work schedule, or schedule or anything?
No, we'll just, you know, offer some time away to make up for the time here.
Some comp time.
You're right.
And that's sometimes.
Really nice to have, so.
I think 6 is a great time, and that would be my suggestion. I don't know about limiting the hours. I don't know if that matters to me as much, but I don't hear everyone's opinion.
Anybody else wants to weigh in? Let's do a motion.
I think, to me, 5:30, because there are some parents that have younger kids and stuff, so then that gives them a chance if it goes to 7:30, but I would say no later than 7:45 if our meetings run late. I mean, that's a 2-hour window usually, and we've been running a little longer than 2 hours, like 2.5. So, and like tonight, we're going through our business pretty quickly right now, so. But I'm doable, whatever.
All right.
I guess I would prefer 6 o'clock because it would give more people an option, you know, the opportunity to come. I'm not opposed to 2 hours, if we can guarantee that everybody who wants to speak gets at least 2 minutes. So maybe it's a little over 2 hours.
To a minimum of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Good compromise.
Okay, I move to change the meeting time to 6 PM with a 2-hour cap, including a 2-minute speaker minimum. Is that okay?
I'd second that motion.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, we will meet at 6 PM with 2 hours, giving public comment a minimum of 2 minutes. All right, I've asked Terry if they would do a presentation on book purchasing process, and so that's what's next.
We have Darcy doing that presentation. Thank you, Darcy.
Yeah, it'll just take me a second to get set up.
I'm all for sending money on it. I'm with
Do we need an Eric?
I think I got it. It's flashing. There we go.
Can everybody hear me if I don't use a mic, or should I use a mic? Can you just?
Mike.
Mic? Yeah, please. Can we use this one? Yes, please. Okay. Those wireless. I'm starting to short out. We learned that during Family Fright Night.
We also learned that children's librarian has to be careful to not talk when she's got it. And she's behind the stage. Okay, so I was asked to kind of just show you the process that we use when we are actually selecting the books that go onto the shelf. Please realize that I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a real overview of something that some of us take semesters of college or graduate school work to learn to do. So realize that this is really an overview. It's not very nuanced. But there is essentially a procedure that we go through when we're selecting the information resources. So by information resource, I could mean anything from a book that goes on a shelf to an ebook, to a DVD, to a music CD, but for the purposes of today's discussion, I'm just referring to books, okay? So basically the procedure in a nutshell is we become aware of a resource, we kind of categorize it, we kind of do just a really quick analysis of what type of a resource is this, and then we pull in our collection development policy, which would include the plan and our selection criteria. I'm going to talk to you about the role of our staff members in that, the shelf performance of the resource, and then the weeding cycle. So kind of the full circle, but realize that it really is a cycle. It's not necessarily linear. Like we could start anywhere in that cycle and be going through it. Okay, so awareness of a potential resource can come from a lot of different places. We read a lot of professional journals. Those are independently published review journals. They are not published by publishers, or they are not put out by publishers. But we do get catalogs from publishers because they want to market the works that we might be aware of. So those are also a valid resource.
you know what, another disclaimer, I'm speaking because I do youth services primarily from my point of view, but other collections within the library might have other kinds of factors that are influencing them. So just disclaimer on that. We have vendors that we meet with who make us aware of the resources they have. Lots of us follow popular sources like social media, Goodreads, fan fiction, just to kind of be aware of what's out there. There are research databases, particularly Novelist, that let us know of works that might be relevant to our collection. And of course, patron requests, and that's a big one. We have patrons who come in and ask for resources, and we try to honor that. Oops, I'm so sorry, I skipped. Okay, so then we kind of just do an overview categorization of the resource. Is it a fiction or nonfiction? For what audience is it intended? What type of media? And in what formats is it available? All those kind of quick questions are to kind of lead us to, does this resource merit further investigation, and is this the best department to review it? So maybe it's a resource that's a real academic resource, college level textbook, college level kind of publication. It might not merit further investigation because we don't collect textbooks. We're not an academic library, we're a public library. And that needs to be said, that different libraries are going to have different kinds of things that they're collecting. We go to our collection development policy. That is the most important policy that we have that kind of tells us the why, what, and how of what we do. We look at our mission, our development plan, and our selection criteria. So using the collection development policy as a lens, we evaluate the resources that we're looking at, that we're considering, through 3 ways. We want to see if they're relevant to the library's mission, we want to see if they are consistent with the written development plan, and we want to know that there is conformity with established selection criteria. I'm going to take you to a link just really quickly here. Come up for me. All right, I'm not sure my hyperlink is working. I did this as a Google slide and then downloaded it to PowerPoint, and I probably didn't do the link correctly. So you can see the collection development policy. What I was trying to call your attention to is around page 9, page 10, where there's a real broad overview of these factors, what the development plan is and what the criteria are for the entire collection development policy. The relevance of those factors to individual collections is going to depend on the genre, it's going to depend on the collection that we're talking about. But you can read pages 9 and 10. It's a really lengthy document, you probably don't want to read the whole thing. You can find that on our website. I apologize that the link didn't work, but it is published there. Okay, so essentially the library mission is what establishes the purpose for the information resources as well as the public services that the library provides. Since we're public, our library mission is educational, recreational, and cultural resources for Campbell County residents, and that's a pretty wide age group. A school library would have a different mission. An academic library, a law library, all of those would have different missions. Development plans help to manage the collection to best meet the expected and identified information needs of the community we serve. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Selection criteria help librarians select the best works possible in order to provide a balanced collection that meets the information needs of the community within the constraints of budget and space. Is it part of a series? Is it an author who's popular? Whatever. Is it relevant to current circulation data? Like, is this a genre that we know is circulating? Is it a genre that we know is popular? Relevance to developmental stages, that's particularly important in youth. Is there user appeal? Are the pictures engaging if it's a picture book? Is it, again, a genre that's popular with teens, for example? Popularity of the genre, suitability of the format for the intended audience. If it's a book for toddlers, that needs to be very durable, right? Cost and durability is another one. Publisher reputation. That's important because there's a lot of self-publishing out there. And that's not to say that they're not good works, but sometimes the reputation of the publisher is what ensures that there's not a bunch of typos, or that the binding will hold together, or that the information is accurate. And those are important things. Not as much with fiction, of course, but still those are important considerations as far as the durability. Professional mention, is it reviewed? Is it well reviewed? Has it won awards? Is it included in subject bibliographies? Like in the children's department, we have a huge book called the Core Collection, which is updated. It's a serial publication, so it's updated every few years. That is our core, what public libraries should have for children's literature on the shelf. Is there literary merit? Is this, on the other hand, a new approach, a new perspective on an old topic? And do we have space? That's a big one. For nonfiction, some of the same criteria, but then we really do get into, is this information accurate and current? What is the authoritative reputation of the author? Does this author have credibility to be publishing in this topic? Do the publishers vet and or do peer review of the work? So if it's not a reputable publisher, again, one cannot assume that the work, the facts have been fact-checked. And so it's important to think about that. Professional mention, reviews, awards, subject bibliographies, the timeliness of the topic, the scarcity and or availability elsewhere. So do we have anything on this resource? Could they look on the database for the same information? Those kinds of things. Space, relevance to existing collection. Do we need more dinosaur books? Do we have a hole in, the planets? Do we have all of the information about the planets that we should have? Relevance to current circulation data, like we do check circulation a lot. Students' curricular support, including remediation and enrichment. That's part of our role, to help students, whether they're homeschooled or public schooled, to be able to find the research information that they need and to offer a variety of formats. So for example, in the teen room, in the nonfiction collection, we have a school hacks collection, which is just a variety of resources that present curricular information in different, easier to read formats. Shakespeare, that has the Shakespearean language on one side of the page and regular English on the other side of the page to help people understand it. So that's part of our role, to remediate and help with that. User appeal, cost and durability, those are always factors. The tools that assist us, so how do we evaluate those criteria? We use our integrated library system a lot. That means we pull circulation reports to see what's circulating. We look at holds lists to see what authors have huge holds lists, so we might need to buy duplicate copies of their works. We look at our lost and overdue item reports. I mean, we have a ton of reports that we look at. We look at subject tracings to see, okay, let's see actually how many books we have on rocks, on different geologic formations of rocks. We looked at our collection analytics. There's a formula for figuring a right-sized collection where you're basically taking the information about the material that's circulating versus the material that sits on the shelf, and you're trying to find a ratio. A right-sized collection has a certain percentage of information on the shelf at all the time so that there's something for your users to pull from. We use professional review journals a lot. These are independently published review journals. So this is not the same as the publishers telling us a work is great. It is professional educators and librarians doing actual review. We don't necessarily get to put our hands on the books, so we rely a lot on people who get advanced copies of the books and can put their hands on them and read them and write the review for us. I said publishers and vendors catalogs, that is a tool. Book award lists, the Wyoming Library Association sponsors the Buckaroo, Indian Paintbrush, and Soaring Eagle Book Award lists. We always buy the books on those lists, of course. We buy them in duplicate so that we have enough to serve our community. But that also tells us, one year there might be a ton of realistic fiction, and the next year it's all science fiction. It tells us what's popular. We use curated recommendations on professional databases like Novelist, or in our ordering website,
There are librarians who curate book lists and put those out as recommended titles, and we do pull from them occasionally. And then other professional resources like those subject bibliographies come into play. All of that analysis and all of those tools lead to when we decide that we're going to actually select a book. So the roles of the library staff, as far as selection and acquisition, this is more to show that there's multiple people involved in these decisions. An individual library staff member selects materials using the process that I've already discussed in their assigned collections. They might only read one journal, and they may put books in a cart from that one journal that they think meets the criteria and meets the information needs of our audience. But then I or a librarian in technical services will look at those books as well and cross-check against other journals to make sure that they're professionally reviewed in multiple journals most of the time. I review, or the manager reviews purchase lists, and the tech services staff also does that review. They are also instrumental in letting us know, did you know that this was part of a series and you're missing number 2? You maybe need to get number 2 if you're going to get number 3, those kinds of things. And then they place order and encumber the appropriate accounts. Once those are received, tech services staff looks at them again, make sure we're putting them at the right place in the collection, in the right area of the collection, prepares them for the shelf, fill any holds, so user holds are always filled first, and then books get reviewed by the staff in the individual departments before they get shelved. And then it's up to us to try to alert the patrons in as many ways as we can about the books we have in our collection. So we do displays, we talk about them and use them in story times. We do reader's advisory. All of those things help us get the resources out there. Then we kind of get to the end of the cycle. So our information resources, once we put them on the shelf, they're regularly reviewed to assess their condition, the number of uses, the circulation statistics, their continued relevance to the collection. And then they are weeded or deselected based on circulation data, if they're not circulating well, based on shelf space, especially those that are in poor condition. And we have deselection criteria. In my department, we use an acronym called MUSTY. We deselect materials that are misleading, ugly, superseded, trivial, irrelevant, or available elsewhere. And weeding leads to new searches for resources and new selections and purchases being made, and it is that continuous cycle. So hopefully that kind of enlightens how much work goes into choosing the materials that go on the shelf. Do you guys have any questions for me? Did you like Collection Development 101? Oh, there it came up. I just had it hidden. Okay, thank you. Oh, what's your question?
I don't have a microphone, but I was going to ask, is there a way you can get your hands on more books before you order them? Is there any processes out there that they distribute the books to potential buyers to be able to sort through the books before you get them?
I am not aware of that necessarily. Sometimes I get ARCs, I get advanced reading copies of books, but that's a really sporadic way of getting those. Like I said, for nonfiction books, we often meet with vendors who actually bring books here. They have big crates full of books, and we're able to sit and review those with them, and that's helpful. But again, we're talking of thousands and thousands of books. So that would be cumbersome to actually be able to put hands on all of them. That process would be way too lengthy. We have to rely on professional reviews and those kinds of tools that I was talking about. Yes?
How many new books do you get in a year?
Do you have any idea? I meant to pull that data, but I don't have it.
Not specifically on children's, but I can certainly email it out.
Yeah,
Well, before
we
we
had-
talk about saying you get 17,000 books a year.
Oh, I was thinking of children's, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what percentage of the 17,000 is children's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
So the whole library is 17,000.
Approximately 17,000.
Yeah. So that ratio, that was my question. What's that golden ratio? What?
I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I will email that to you. I'm
Yeah.
happy to email
Yeah,
that
I
to
do.
you.
Because you know, 17, that's a lot of books.
17,000
And
is a
maybe
lot of
that's
books.
reasonable, but
Mm-hmm.
without, I don't have a guideline to judge that, so I'd be interested in.
Sure, sure. I can pull those facts together.
Have you ever gotten a book that didn't meet your criteria when you got it in and said this was not what I thought it was gonna be? And then what happens to that book when you arrive?
We do, but not frequently, because if we've done our work, then it should be what we were hoping it to be. We will still, unless it's, so sometimes what will happen, I guess I'm going to give you two answers. One is, if we purchased it, we will put it out on the shelf. It may still go. Maybe we aren't as satisfied with the quality, but it may still go. It may not hold up, or whatever. Unless it's misleading information, in which case then it's our responsibility to not put that out. But for, say, a fiction book, sometimes we will get one in and it will be, a lot of books, especially middle grade, are published for 5th through 8th grade. So we might purchase a book for our YA collection, so that is 7th and 8th grade, but it is that range. In fact, we have a lot of books that are in both rooms because of that being published for 5th through 8th grade. But the protagonist is 11 years old. And so most 7th and 8th graders aren't going to read a book for an 11-year-old, about an 11-year-old kid. They might read a book about their own age. So then we'll say this is a little young and we'll move it to the Judy collection instead.
So you ever returned a book?
Oh, we can return books, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you report it to anybody? Return books, or does it need to, like, do you write in your own review, or?
So that would depend on where we would purchase that from. If we're just purchasing it from our clearinghouse type of a vendor site, I'm not sure that there would be a mechanism in place. We can return the book and get the money back, but I'm not sure there'd be a mechanism in place for doing that. If I'm purchasing from an individual vendor, then yeah, I would be able to say this is just not what we thought it was going to be.
So Terry, do you go over the final list of books before they're ordered?
I review on the macro level. I work with statistics a lot, so these managers, I have delegated this job to them and make sure that they get the training that they need and they do the work. And then if there are problems, then I'm involved. But otherwise, reviewing every single title in the collection just wouldn't fit into, fit into what I do at all.
So how many books, like, okay, so let's say one per month, I'm just trying to put, so like, let's say you're ordering for December. How many books would be ordered in December for, like, let's say, children's or young adult teens?
So we kind of split our budget up so that we have a steady stream of items coming in and new books and stuff. And it's going to go up and down. So on an average, it will be whatever our budget is divided by 12 months, and however many books we can get in that. And it's there's different genres, there's different age groups that we're dealing with. So I have all those statistics I could certainly share, and you could take a look at what that looks like.
I would say too, as you probably already know, publishers tend, especially with youth materials, to publish more books at certain times of the year, which is why it's hard to say a consistent, number. We can order for YA anything from 75 to 125 books in a month. Thank you.
Darcy?
Well, that leads us into the next order of business. We're going to start looking at the collection development policy. I have printed it out, and it's a lengthy tome. It's huge, yes. It's 100 pages. I would like to suggest that we have schedule an open meeting without, public comment or anything, just to review this in one, or start reviewing it maybe in one fell sweep. If anybody has any time in December, just to do a work session. So does anybody have any restrictions in December? No restrictions, right? Personally, I'd like to do it on a Thursday afternoon. Does anybody have any?
Thursdays is a good day for me.
I'm free on all those.
Yeah. I was going to suggest the 15th.
What time are you thinking
I'm open. I can do. I was going to say 2 o'clock, maybe like.
of? I've got a meeting till 2. 2:30?
2:30 would work. Oh, are you? You're
I'll
in
just
school.
I'll just take convenience days. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So,
Would it be
fine.
better to do in January?
No, because then I'll be out.
You'll be out, but I didn't know how out you'd be.
Well, I might be out.
You okay? Darcy's having surgery, and so she's.
I
gonna
would
be
rather
like
do
a-
it in December and just take time off.
Okay.
No, I'm having surgery the 20th. Oh, right. Merry Christmas.
So Thursday, December 15th, 2:30, work session. Do we need to like reserve a room and then do all those things and look at that?
Wouldn't we meet here?
I will see if it's available.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll find a seat.
I want to make sure. The library's a busy place.
yes, it is. No, I didn't mean to, my concern there was just to make sure we have enough space for us and the public.
Right, right. So, one thing I am curious about, Terry, I hear the library does a lot of stuff in conjunction with the schools. And can you tell me what they do with the schools? I mean, I think you guys do some ordering for them. I'm just not clear on all those things.
We don't actually do ordering for the school, but we collaborate. And what projects are you doing? What kind of,
Homework reports will there be? So we're always talking to the school to figure out what they're doing, so that if we have overflow at the public library, we're able to meet the needs of the kids and their projects. And we have a grant, maybe this is what you're talking about, that buys those award books, so that we can put an award book in all the school libraries.
So-
Oh, sorry, this is terrible. So anyway, so we get a grant, and the award-winning books, we try to purchase one for each school library with the grant money, and then we do that as kind of a
Are these like
community service.
Newberry Award winners or?
No, they're the Wyoming Book Awards that we
Okay.
talked about earlier. They do fun things. Sometimes school will have a book battle and the kids try to, compete in memorizing parts of the book. So they do a lot of, although I don't think they're gonna do it this year, they do a lot of promoting of these book awards. And we just kind of help. It's through a grant that you get.
I thought there was something else you did with the schools, though, that a teacher was commenting about how they Do they order on an app and they?
Are we talking Overdrive?
I think you're
Yes.
talking about the Sora app.
Oh, the
Because it's-
Sora app.
I don't know what it is, so I just.
Okay, so we have a children's section in Overdrive, and so that the kids can also have access to Overdrive. It's called Sora, and it's books that the kids can access from school. And so, but kids can also access it from home, so in some ways that may feel like it's purchasing it for the school, but it's just really purchasing it in a way that the kids can have access to it from school.
So it's part of the whole Overdrive system?
It is. It's an Overdrive, module.
Didn't know what that was.
Yep.
And- So you guys don't do any of the Scholastic stuff for them, or that's all? I thought you guys had some ordering, I thought I heard that.
We sometimes have Scholastic book fairs as a fundraiser, like our team volunteers, but no, we also have a Wyoming Reads project. So we do work a lot with the schools. We just don't purchase for their libraries very much unless it's a special thing where we had award or grant money. There's an annual thing where every first grader gets a free book and come to Camplex or some other big facility and to sort of celebrate reading, they get their book. Community people read to the children, so community celebrities, not often a board member, county commissioner, different people come to this and read to the kids, the first graders.
Remember that coming through. All right.
All right, time for the director's report.
All right. So I have a committee working on our annual in-service. It will either be in March or April, and we're just starting to meet. We usually close the library for a day and get us all together for some staff development. I am talking to Peregrine about leadership and management training. I have a lot of new managers that really need some management training. Also, board training is coming up, and has everybody had a chance to sign up for that?
I have.
We have some fun programs coming. We have Craig Johnson again for his annual Christmas story. And it'll be here in the Wyoming Room. We have invited guest pianists to perform out in the atrium. And so we'll have people regularly playing Christmas music. We have some development in our makerspace with a Cricut, and so we've got an ornament crafting program. Santa will be at both libraries. We're getting ready for a scholarship session with teens who need help filling out their high school scholarship applications for college. We had two great authors here, also part of some of the same grant that I was talking about earlier from the rec district, Dan Gemeinhardt and Jennifer Nielsen. So that was very popular with the kids. We also purchased books and sold them and recouped the money. And we just had everything sell out and had to keep ordering more books. So very popular authors. We've got our quilt silent auction going on. It's a fundraiser in the library. It's being run by the Library Foundation. The murder on Porcupine Creek was well attended for a true crime program, just a random thing. Just to give you a general variety of what the different things are that we're doing. So we're working on some facilities projects, still waiting to get the programming done on the fobs. So doors, we'll be waving a fob at a door instead of turning a key. We're thrilled that the driveway and sidewalk is complete and we can park back in the staff parking lot again. Our fire panel, I was just speaking with facilities maintenance manager, that is coming soon. We have some new HVAC equipment and are having a little ductwork trouble handling the new power, so they're ordering a part to solve that, but it makes for a very cold circulation office in the lower 60s to try and work in. Roof work will resume this spring, and basement work is continuing, as I reported earlier. I think that I've heard from the Wright Branch manager that they still aren't getting any water, so we're hoping that that continues to be the case. We're finishing up rolling out the computers. Tyler training for the new financial system is underway for managers and key staff. We are going to be getting new time clocks, and that is to be rolled out in December. And we have the contract that you signed last month. We've started work installing the new calendar program. And we're looking at some incident report software that would better handle our incident reports. You can see we've been working on safety. We always try to do at least one safety training every month in all the different departments. We've had some staffing changes. Jesse moved to the 28-hour position. We've got a 40-hour youth services coordinator position pending, and a 20. We have some retirements. Sue Ann, a long-term employee, been here longer than me, is retiring. And I was appointed to the County Compensation Committee. The next page are several workshops and meetings, and it's a lot of programming that gives you an idea of the different things that are coming up. And I hit the highlights for those for you already. We're looking at Overdrive, and the circulation there continues to be strong. Canopy's holding its own, and that is movie streaming. The foundation met on November the 7th. We're working on getting our annual fundraising letter out. The bylaws, managing the endowment. We have a new member, Casey Schertz. Friends of the Library meet tomorrow. At the last meeting, they discussed the recap of the book sale, and they had a successful book sale, as I've reported. Their next up is a bookmark contest, and planning the Anage and Vintage book sale for February 2023. And Friends also hand out high school scholarships. Next meeting, December the 19th, and we'll be done with 2022.
So the 19th again isn't the fourth Monday.
Like, it's the 24th.
Okay.
Or the 20th. It's some day.
26th, yeah.
26th, it was a hard
Yeah,
day.
it's work early. So just so people know, it's not
Yes, good point, thank you.
the fourth Monday of the month.
And I just have to say that the gals from the Harry Potter quiz thing came back to school and were very happy that they won. So Lakeview kind of was like they were very excited about that. But they think they should have Harry Potter trivia all the time. So just saying.
So do you have a master calendar of what you're doing every week as far as, you know?
Yes, so we do plan out and we pencil things in, and then we try to make arrangements. We'd like to hold dates so that we can do that. I have a programming committee. Jen is very busy with that. She's our program coordinator and marketing person, so she does a lot of that work. And then the children's department does all of their own. And we just try not to step on each other's toes where we're planning and taking space to have a program and so forth. We have a lot of passive programming where we may host the space and set up the room, and somebody comes in and does the program. So otherwise it gets to be pretty expensive to try and do a lot.
Sometimes I like to see the master thing and see which is coming up in the full year and see if what's on it. I'd be interested.
Sure.
I guess we're ready for public presentations.